Day 40. Leviticus 6-7. And the Lord said to Moses, if someone sins and acts unfaithfully against the Lord by deceiving his neighbor in regard to a deposit or security entrusted to him or stolen, or if he extorts his neighbor or finds lost property and lies about it and swears falsely, or if he commits any such sin that a man might commit, once he has sinned and becomes guilty, he must return what he has stolen or taken by extortion, or the deposit entrusted to him, or the lost property he found, or anything else about which he has sworn falsely. He must make restitution in full, add a fifth of the value, and pay it to the owner on the day he acknowledges his guilt. Then he must bring to the priest his guilt offering to the Lord, an unblemished ram of proper value from the flock. In this way the priest will make atonement for him before the Lord, and he will be forgiven for anything he may have done to incur guilt. Then the Lord said to Moses, command Aaron and his sons that this is the law of the burnt offering. The burnt offering is to remain on the hearth of the altar all night until morning, and the fire must be kept burning on the altar. And the priest shall put on his linen robe and linen undergarments, and he shall remove from the altar the ashes of the burnt offering that the fire has consumed and place them beside it. Then he must take off his garments, put on other clothes, and carry the ashes outside the camp to a ceremonially clean place. The fire on the altar shall be kept burning, it must not be extinguished. Every morning the priest is to add wood to the fire, arrange the burnt offering on it, and burn the fat portions of the peace offerings on it. The fire shall be kept burning on the altar continually, it must not be extinguished. Now this is the law of the grain offering. Aaron's sons shall present it before the Lord in front of the altar. The priest is to remove a handful of fine flour and olive oil, together with all the frankincense from the grain offering, and burn the memorial portion on the altar as a pleasing aroma to the Lord. Aaron and his sons are to eat the remainder. It must be eaten without leaven in a holy place, they are to eat it in the courtyard of the tent of meeting. It must not be baked with leaven, I have assigned it as their portion of my offerings made by fire. It is most holy, like the sin offering and the guilt offering. Any male among the sons of Aaron may eat it. This is a permanent portion from the offerings made by fire to the Lord for the generations to come. Anything that touches them will become holy. Then the Lord said to Moses, this is the offering that Aaron and his sons must present to the Lord on the day he is anointed, a tenth of an ephah of fine flour as a regular grain offering, half of it in the morning and half in the evening. It shall be prepared with oil on a griddle, you are to bring it well kneaded and present it as a grain offering broken in pieces, a pleasing aroma to the Lord. The priest, who is one of Aaron's sons and will be anointed to take his place, is to prepare it. As a permanent portion for the Lord, it must be burned completely. Every grain offering for a priest shall be burned completely, it is not to be eaten. And the Lord said to Moses, tell Aaron and his sons that this is the law of the sin offering, in the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered. The sin offering shall be slaughtered before the Lord, it is most holy. The priest who offers it shall eat it, it must be eaten in a holy place, in the courtyard of the tent of meeting. Anything that touches its flesh will become holy, and if any of the blood is spattered on a garment, you must wash it in a holy place. The clay pot in which the sin offering is boiled must be broken, if it is boiled in a bronze pot, the pot must be scoured and rinsed with water. Any male among the priests may eat it, it is most holy. But no sin offering may be eaten if its blood has been brought into the tent of meeting to make atonement in the holy place, it must be burned. Now this is the law of the guilt offering, which is most holy. The guilt offering must be slaughtered in the place where the burnt offering is slaughtered, and the priest shall sprinkle its blood on all sides of the altar. And all the fat from it shall be offered, the fat tail, the fat that covers the entrails, both kidneys with the fat on them near the loins, and the lobe of the liver, which is to be removed with the kidneys. The priest shall burn them on the altar as an offering made by fire to the Lord, it is a guilt offering. Every male among the priests may eat of it. It must be eaten in a holy place, it is most holy. The guilt offering is like the sin offering, the same law applies to both. It belongs to the priest who makes atonement with it. As for the priest who presents a burnt offering for anyone, the hide of that offering belongs to him. Likewise, every grain offering that is baked in an oven or cooked in a pan or on a griddle belongs to the priest who presents it, and every grain offering, whether dry or mixed with oil, belongs equally to all the sons of Aaron. Now this is the law of the peace offering that one may present to the Lord, if he offers it in thanksgiving, then along with the sacrifice of thanksgiving he shall offer unleavened cakes mixed with olive oil, unleavened wafers coated with oil, and well-kneaded cakes of fine flour mixed with oil. Along with his peace offering of thanksgiving he is to present an offering with cakes of leavened bread. From the cakes he must present one portion of each offering as a contribution to the Lord. It belongs to the priest who sprinkles the blood of the peace offering. The meat of the sacrifice of his peace offering of thanksgiving must be eaten on the day he offers it, none of it may be left until morning. If, however, the sacrifice he offers is a vow or a free will offering, it shall be eaten on the day he presents his sacrifice, but the remainder may be eaten on the next day. But any meat of the sacrifice remaining until the third day must be burned up. If any of the meat from his peace offering is eaten on the third day, it will not be accepted. It will not be credited to the one who presented it, it shall be an abomination, and the one who eats of it shall bear his iniquity. Meat that touches anything unclean must not be eaten, it is to be burned up. As for any other meat, anyone who is ceremonially clean may eat it. But if anyone who is unclean eats meat from the peace offering that belongs to the Lord, that person must be cut off from his people. If one touches anything unclean, whether human uncleanness, an unclean animal, or any unclean, detestable thing, and then eats any of the meat of the peace offering that belongs to the Lord, that person must be cut off from his people. Then the Lord said to Moses, Speak to the Israelites and say, You are not to eat any of the fat of an ox, a sheep, or a goat. The fat of an animal found dead or mauled by wild beasts may be used for any other purpose, but you must not eat it. If anyone eats the fat of an animal from which an offering made by fire may be presented to the Lord, the one who eats it must be cut off from his people. You must not eat the blood of any bird or animal in any of your dwellings. If anyone eats blood, that person must be cut off from his people. Then the Lord said to Moses, Speak to the Israelites and say, Anyone who presents a peace offering to the Lord must bring it as his sacrifice to the Lord. With his own hands he is to bring the offerings made by fire to the Lord, he shall bring the fat, together with the breast, and wave the breast as a wave offering before the Lord. The priest is to burn the fat on the altar, but the breast belongs to Aaron and his sons. And you are to give the right thigh to the priest as a contribution from your peace offering. The son of Aaron who presents the blood and fat of the peace offering shall have the right thigh as a portion. I have taken from the sons of Israel the breast of the wave offering and the thigh of the contribution of their peace offerings. And I have given them to Aaron the priest and his sons as a permanent portion from the sons of Israel. This is the portion of the offerings made by fire to the Lord for Aaron and his sons since the day they were presented to serve the Lord as priests. On the day they were anointed, the Lord commanded that this be given them by the sons of Israel. It is a permanent portion for the generations to come. This is the law of the burnt offering, the grain offering, the sin offering, the guilt offering, the ordination offering, and the peace offering, which the Lord gave Moses on Mount Sinai on the day he commanded the Israelites to present their offerings to the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai. Matthew 25 verses 1-30. At that time the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 were wise. The foolish ones took their lamps but did not take along any extra oil. But the wise ones took oil in flasks along with their lamps. When the bridegroom was delayed, they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight the cry rang out, Here is the bridegroom. Come out to meet him. Then all the virgins woke up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish ones said to the wise, Give us some of your oil, our lamps are going out. No, said the wise ones, or there may not be enough for both us and you. Instead, go to those who sell oil and buy some for yourselves. But while they were on their way to buy it, the bridegroom arrived. Those who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later the other virgins arrived and said, Lord, Lord, open the door for us. But he replied, Truly I tell you, I do not know you. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour. For it is just like a man going on a journey, who called his servants and entrusted them with his possessions. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2 talents, and to another 1 talent, each according to his own ability. And he went on his journey. The servant who had received the 5 talents went at once and put them to work and gained 5 more. Likewise, the one with the 2 talents gained 2 more. But the servant who had received the 1 talent went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time the master of those servants returned to settle accounts with them. The servant who had received the 5 talents came and presented 5 more. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 talents. See, I have gained 5 more. His master replied, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things, I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master. The servant who had received the 2 talents also came and said, Master, you entrusted me with 2 talents. See, I have gained 2 more. His master replied, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things, I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master. Finally, the servant who had received the 1 talent came and said, Master, I knew that you are a hard man, reaping where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your talent in the ground. See, you have what belongs to you. You wicked, lazy servant. Replied his master. You knew that I reap where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed. Then you should have deposited my money with the bankers, and on my return I would have received it back with interest. Therefore take the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10 talents. For everyone who has will be given more, and he will have an abundance. But the one who does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. And throw that worthless servant into the outer darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth.